This is Fred Richani of TSC News right here on Facebook Live, facebook.com/The Sports Courier. Before we get to Summerslam, before we get to NXT TakeOver, we got SmackDown Live for August 8th, and this was a very eventful episode. We saw the return of James Ellsworth. Fortunately or unfortunately, according to some fans, we saw Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. We saw Naomi versus Carmella in what could be a preview for a future women's title match that may only last like a minute because of the Money in the Bank rules. And we had Charlotte versus Lana. So let's get started here, okay? We opened the show with John Cena cutting a promo on Baron Corbin. For those that don't know, Baron Corbin attacked John Cena last week after the show ended. Technically, it was on SmackDown, but it was on the network, so it was sort of off-air, which is kind of weird because they didn't really plug it. I guess they were plugged 205 Live, and if you tuned into the live feed for 205 Live, you saw Baron Corbin attack John Cena, so there's that. That's their new thing, and actually, they kind of hinted at that, too, for Rusev and Randy Orton, because as SmackDown Live was ending and Randy Orton was posing up the ramp, Rusev attacked him, and then they just cut to the next show, which is Shooter on USA Network. So I'm assuming they did show already maybe Rusev beating up Randy Orton some more, throwing him off the stage. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I could actually, you know what, maybe I'll pull up the WWE Network feed while we're at it just to see what the hell is going on there. But we opened the show, as I'm opening my network feed, with Baron Corbin and John Cena having a bit of a confrontation in continuation of last week's confrontation, and it was made official by Daniel Bryan. It will be Baron Corbin taking on John Cena at SummerSlam. Unfortunately, they didn't heed my suggestion that I made on the Raw recap on youtube.com/The Sports Courier. That's our YouTube channel if you guys want to please subscribe to that. They did not put Baron Corbin's Money in the Bank briefcase on the line, which I think is kind of lame because he's kind of a lame duck Money in the Bank holder. Like a lot of the Money in the Bank briefcase holders, he's been jobbing quite a bit, losing a bunch of matches, and yeah, I'm just not feeling Baron Corbin. I'm really not. Okay, I'm actually forwarding the feed now and trying to see if there's anything that we missed here. I see a SummerSlam commercial. I see more commercials. I see Total Bellas. Let's see. Is there anything from here? No, it doesn't look like they showed it here. Maybe they will down the road. Let's see. No, they showed a TJ Perkins promo. Okay. Guess they didn't show anything on WWE Network this time around unless I missed it. So if there's something I missed, please feel free to point it out to me. I'd appreciate that. Anyway. So they cut this promo, went back and forth. It's going to be Cena versus Corbin. John Cena is definitely going to have his work cut out for him at SummerSlam. That is for sure. We had Naomi take on Carmella. James Ellsworth interfered to give Carmella the win. Due to this weird WWE logic, Carmella didn't just cash in on the spot, but she does have a pinfall victory now officially over the SmackDown Women's Champion. So I guess there's that. For whatever reason, this Facebook live feed is not showing. Well, actually, it's showing on my end, but the one actually scheduled under the same name is not showing. That's a little weird. So let me just share this one real quickly for you guys, and we'll get some more comments in the mix. Speaking of the SmackDown women, we had kind of an awkward match between
I see Total
Bellas. Let me turn it off. We kind of had an awkward match, you see, between Charlotte and Lana, which featured a wardrobe malfunction that did not make camera. Lana went for a roll-up on Charlotte, accidentally pulled down her pants. Thankfully for Charlotte, this was not shown on camera, so there's something I missed. She was able to cover up and all that, but man, Lana did not look that great in the ring. She lost again. I guess that's the gimmick, right? That she's trying to be ravishing. She's trying to be dominant like Tamina Snuka, even though Tamina Snuka's lost almost every match. And yeah, she lost again due to the figure eight. She did last a lot longer than she did against Naomi, and kudos to Charlotte. She actually was able to get a passable match out of Lana, which is, I know, quite shocking. Quite shocking, but she was able to, and she handled the wardrobe malfunction like a champ. It's kind of funny because Ric Flair, her father, was infamous for always having his tights pulled down and mooting the audience. So just a little bit of irony there, in addition to the other things that make Charlotte's run in WWE ironic, or her personal life with multiple marriages. But that's another story for another day, and this is a wrestling show. We had Kevin Owens and AJ Styles get face-to-face in the ring with Shane McMahon. Shane said he's going to call it right down the middle, which is funny because Kevin Owens tried to stir the pot with AJ Styles because AJ and Shane did battle it out at WrestleMania. Maybe they had the best match at WrestleMania. I think they did, other than maybe Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, surprisingly. And then Kevin Owens showed footage of Shane back in Survivor Series 1998, almost 20 years ago, of him screwing Steve Austin. And he said, "You can't trust Shane McMahon." AJ said, "I don't trust anybody anyway." He got shoved by KO. AJ went for the Pele kick. KO moved out of the way, and boom, AJ hit Shane, creating dissension between the three. I was not interested in this match at all before this segment, but I gotta say, they did a really good job of getting me into it. So, well done, WWE. Alan Wu says, do you think Nakamura is going to win the world title at SummerSlam? Well, I'm going to get to that in just a second, but let's get to the rest of the show because it did end in a mind-boggling way. I thought this was actually a really good show, but they did something at the end that really pissed me off, and as many of you guys know, I think is very illogical, unless, of course, you're in the New Japan G1. But again, we will get to that in a second. We had the Usos en route to their tag title match with the New Day at SummerSlam, defeat Sami Zayn and Ty Dillinger. Poor Sami Zayn. This guy is one of the best workers in the business, one of the best workers in the company, and he's just losing random tag matches. The Usos are great. I love the Usos. I don't think they should have lost the tag titles. Those guys got swagger. Those guys have an awesome new lyrical theme song where they're rapping on it. I mean, the Usos are so cool. Who wouldn't want to go to the club with the Usos? Hell, when I go to Kanye West versus Jay-Z night at House of Independence in Asbury Park, New Jersey, I may extend an invite to the Usos, although I won't be surprised if they don't get back to me. You know, they're kind of busy. We're boys and all, but they're kind of busy prepping for their match. We had another tag team be featured, which was Fandango and Tyler Breeze. They had a parody, once again, of Twin Peaks. Do not ask me about the Twin Peaks references. I've actually never seen Twin Peaks. Please don't hate me. Still, I was entertained by this. They were looking for the person that beat up their horse, that beat up Tully the horse, which is a play on words, you know, Tully Blanchard of the Four Horsemen. So who should be revealed as the man that beat up the horse? None other than current WWE producer, WWE Hall of Famer, the wrestling legend, and one of the founding members of the actual Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson. He said, "You're damn right I beat Tully. You should have named him Arn. I was the real hoss of the Four Horsemen." That was great. Also, by the way, the crowd was once again pretty hot like they were last night on Raw. Toronto, definitely a great wrestling city, although it was a little awkward when they were chanting, "Thank you, Lana," after Lana got Charlotte to moon them by accident. It's a little pervy, guys. Please, just don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So we had that, and then we had a Shinsuke Nakamura sit-down interview. He said it's going to be the era of Nakamura. He's going to defeat the modern-day Maharaja that is Jinder Mahal. Yes, I'm still mind-boggled that they had John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura, a dream match that could headline anywhere, Madison Square Garden, the Tokyo Dome, WrestleMania, Mars, whatever. Whatever's going to be left of the U.S. after Korea. That's another story that I don't want to get into. Jesus Christmas, my Twitter feed. The point is, it is absolutely ridiculous that we had Cena versus Nakamura on free TV last week on SmackDown. Only 15 minutes of actual in-ring time with a commercial break in between. And it was a great match. Imagine if they had a half hour or an hour or, you know, a pay-per-view with no freaking commercials. All we can do is imagine because, of course, it's going to be Nakamura taking on Jinder Mahal. And look, I like Jinder. I love his rededication to the professional wrestling business, to his fitness. I actually like his character because his character is supposed to be this evil foreigner, But in reality, all he's preaching is fitness and diversity. How am I supposed to hate Jinder Mahal, who's preaching diversity? I love this man. This is great. That being said, as much as I like the gimmick that's kind of backfiring in a heelish way, as much as I like the guy, he seems like a cool guy. He's dedicated to his body and getting better in the ring. At the end of the day, I really have little to no interest in seeing him defend the WWE title. That Randy Orton feud, that did a number on him. So, what do we get tonight for our main event? We get Randy Orton, once again, versus Jinder Mahal. Here's how backwards some of this WWE booking is, right? We had a Punjabi prison match, which was like a Hell in a Cell if it was actually existing in hell. Meaning, this wasn't a great match. This wasn't a good match. This was a hellaciously horrible match. Thank God I was in Lebanon for 2 weeks and I missed WWE Battleground. I am so glad. I saw some highlights. I read the reviews. I tried to watch it. I got through 5 minutes. And I just said, man, this is pretty bad, but surely it's going to get better, right? And I looked at the timer and the WWE Network. It said 22 minutes left. And I said, good God Almighty, I'm tapping out here. I am tapping out. So I did, much to the benefit of my mental health. So here we have Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal after their blow-off match. The feud that was supposed to end at Battleground continues once again on SmackDown. Okay. So, we have this match. It's okay. It's like a lot of Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal matches that aren't involved in a hellaciously horrible Punjabi prison. It was solid. Good crowd reactions and everything. Crowd's been hot all night. So Jinder Mahal goes for his Cobra Clutch Slam. And Randy Orton hits the RKO. Keep in mind, the Singh brothers, the henchmen of Jinder Mahal, are both on the shelf. So Randy Orton hits the RKO and covers Jinder. 1, 2, 3. Now that would be great if Jinder Mahal was wrestling Randy Orton at SummerSlam, and thank God he's not. Instead, as I mentioned before, he's wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, you might be asking yourself, where was Shinsuke Nakamura? Where was Shinsuke Nakamura during this whole thing? Nowhere to be found. Where was Rusev, who made it known he wanted a WWE title shot? Where was Rusev during this main event? Not after, but during this main event? Nowhere to be found. Where was Baron Corbin? Mr. Money in the Bank, who could cash in at any time, who was teasing Jinder Mahal that he was going to cash in a few months back? Nowhere to be found. Where were the Singh brothers? Nowhere to be found. Where was John Cena? Nowhere to be found. Where was the Great Khali? Nowhere to be found. Where was an act of God in storyline? Nowhere to be found. Meaning, my point is, the current WWE champion, less than 2 weeks away from SummerSlam, who's been actually protected relatively well for a cowardly heel, got pinned clean by Randy Orton, a man he's beaten not once, not twice, but thrice on pay-per-view on SmackDown. And based on WWE's booking practices, usually when a champion loses before a pay-per-view in a non-title singles match, that most likely means that champion's going to retain. Meaning, Shinsuke Nakamura, this gigantic star from Japan who's become a very big star in the US, is going to go into one of the main events of SummerSlam, and perhaps, as DJ Khaled would say, that dude's trademarked everything, perhaps he's going to lose in his very first main roster loss against Jinder Mahal. The only thing that would make that worse is Jinder winning the match, and then Baron Corbin, after losing, predictably, to John Cena, cashing in and dethroning Jinder Mahal as maybe, just maybe, the most boring, uninteresting WWE champion of all time. I mean, let's think about this for a second. Jinder Mahal is fine. He's fine. But I wouldn't say he's necessarily really entertaining, right? He's kind of boring. He's kind of there. He doesn't have change the channel heat with me, though. He's more of just like, all right, it's Jinder Mahal. I like the guy personally, but I'm just not interested in his title run. Okay, cool. But if Baron Corbin cashes in, if Baron Corbin wins the title, even worse, if Nakamura somehow wins and then Baron Corbin cashes in on Nakamura, Baron Corbin will automatically become the most boring WWE champion of all time. Think about that. Think about all the WWE champions we've had. I'm just talking about the linear WWE championship belt. I mean, let's see, who's held the title before? Rey Mysterio held it for a cup of coffee. Rey Mysterio was never boring. Stan the Man Stasiak. Listen, when your nickname's the Man, I don't care if you held the title for 6 days, you got to be cool. Nature Boy Buddy Rogers lost it pretty quickly, but he was the original Nature Boy. You can't be boring if you're the Nature Boy. I'm trying to look. You know what? Let's Google this here. Worst WWE champions. Okay. 10 worst WWE champions ever. All right, let's check this out right here. Some people say, okay, The Miz, but The Miz was entertaining. Okay, Bob Backlund in '94. Bob Backlund held that title for 6 days in '94 or '93. One of those years. Was it '93 or '94? Whatever. Bob Backlund was still pretty entertaining. He was Bob Backlund. I guess Dolph Ziggler, but Dolph Ziggler wasn't boring. You know, and that was technically the WWE World Title. Sergeant Slaughter, yeah, he was tasteless. I don't know if he was boring. He was just tasteless. Rob Van Dam definitely wasn't boring. That guy got high. Psycho Sid wasn't boring. He hit Shawn Michaels at a freaking camera and gave Jose Lothario a heart attack. He was deplorable, but he was not he was not boring. I mean, okay. You know what? In terms of just world champions overall in WWE history, the most boring is probably Jack Swagger. So if Baron Corbin cashes in successfully at SummerSlam against either Jinder Mahal or Shinsuke Nakamura, I could see him being crowned as the most boring WWE champion of all time. So overall, I would give SmackDown Live a thumbs up. That being said, I do not like seeing Jinder Mahal lose in a non-title match right before SummerSlam. But enough of that. Let's go to the inbox. Let's get to some questions. For those that don't know, we started a brand new contest. So if you're somebody that follows me on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube and you watch our live streams and you like to participate, maybe you have an interesting comment, maybe you have a very unique question that's never been asked to me before, whoever's deemed the best commenter of the week, starting from last night's Raw recap to next Monday night, you will get a free DVD. Here's how it works. You can comment either on youtube.com/The Sports Courier on one of my videos. You can comment right here on facebook.com/The Sports Courier on one of my videos. Or you could even email me, fred@thesportscourier.com. That's fred@thesportscourier.com. If you have the most unique, interesting comment or question, you will get a free DVD. But not just any DVD, because I know the WWE Network's around. But I also know there's a lot of collectors. And as somebody that used to be a collector, I got to say I got plenty of DVDs that most likely are not on the WWE Network. Not just from WWE, from TNA, ROH. I even got some Dragon Ball Z stuff I could give you if you're a DBZ fan. I got a vast collection I'll probably reveal to you guys one of these days on Facebook Live. So who knows, maybe you'll get something like Armageddon 2005. Maybe you'll get something like Rise and Fall of ECW. Maybe you'll get WWF Action. Maybe you'll get TNA's 50 Greatest Moments. Who the hell knows? And yes, that DVD actually exists. And yes, in 2007 or 2008, I may have purchased that with my own money. Don't make fun. Don't make fun, guys. Okay, I was a fan at one point. Still am. Okay, let's go to this question right here. Elizabeth asks, Fred, would you ever consider becoming a WWE writer? That is a very good question. I would have to say no. I would not. In a perfect world, if I could positively contribute to a wrestling company, write out some storylines, not be front and center, be somebody that can work directly with the wrestlers, let their personalities shine, improve the production of a television show without the stress and BS politics that you probably would get in Global Force Wrestling or in WWE, yeah, I would do it. But I don't know. I feel like I love the business too much. I like being independent. I like kind of working on my own. If the right opportunity pops up, maybe in another wrestling company, would I be down to do it? Sure. I've had people before in the business say, hey, you've got some good ideas. You've got a good perspective. For those that don't know, one of my early mentors in my career was Dirty Dutch Mantel, a.k.a. Zeb Coulter. And while GFW, a.k.a. TNA Impact Wrestling, is not so hot right now, that guy's got a phenomenal track record overall in his career of booking. So to get compliments from him and advice from him and mentorship from him in the past definitely went a long way for me. Also worked a little bit at Spike TV, worked on the TNA side, Ultimate Fighter side back in the day. So would it be cool to get involved with something like that again and actually be able to throw out ideas and see what sticks and see them manifest on TV and online? Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be really cool. I am a creative person, but WWE, I don't know. I like doing what I'm doing now. I like broadcasting. I like talking to people. I don't think I'd be doing much of that if I was in WWE. Also, their turnover rate is huge. If you think the U.S. economy is rough, I mean, look at the turnover rate with WWE. I mean, I know writers that lasted a year, 6 months. I mean, that's not good job security at all. And for those of you that don't know, you're most likely when you get a job with WWE, depending on where it's at, let's just say it's in Stamford, Connecticut, you're going to have to move to that area. And that's a really expensive area to live in. And you're going to have to shift your life and work long hours. And it's fine to work long hours if you love what you do. But if you have to pick up and move and get settled in and worry about losing your job every 6 months to a year, I mean, look, at the end of the day, anybody could lose their job anytime, whether it be the president or a digital producer or a writer or whomever. But still, some jobs have a little more security than others. And it looks like with WWE writers, not so much. Although I do hear that they pay well. So if you're interested in applying to WWE, feel free to. I don't want to discourage anybody. Just personally speaking, I don't know. I don't know. I like doing my own thing. I like being independent. And again, if I were to contribute to a wrestling company, I'd like to do it on my own terms, maybe on a smaller scale, something for fun. If I can earn an extra income, that'd be cool. But, at the end of the day, for me, it's about the love of the business as well. The love doesn't always pay the bills, but the love of the business, not just saying, oh, yeah, I got to work for WWE. I mean, I actually had a chance to intern with WWE years ago, but just didn't work out. Financially, it didn't make sense. It was like 3.5 hours away. Ended up at Spike TV and Viacom, and, well, the rest is history, and thankfully ended up working out. But thank you for asking that question. Jeremy Sasser says, Cena versus Shinsuke on free TV equals WCW 1999 booking. Kind of, but they're in significantly better financial shape than WCW, and I can see where they're going here. They're booking all these big matches on free TV, like Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe, and all that jazz. Shinsuke versus John Cena, Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. And I think the reason for that, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles last week, and I think the reason for that is because they want to get the ratings up before football season. So when the football ratings kick WWE's ratings asses, they could say, you know what? Okay, we're down, but you know what? We were up for the summer compared to last summer. And when they're ready to renegotiate again with USA Network, NBC Universal, they could say, hey, we did good ratings. Yeah, football competition was tough, but the rest of the year, we were pretty damn good in comparison to your other programs. And I would imagine SmackDown Live is a pretty damn good lead-in for Shooter starring Ryan Felipe. So we'll see. I think that's the long-term plan. Get the ratings up during the non-football season nights, and then just kind of take that to the bank in negotiations in hopes of not only getting renewed, but also getting renewed for more money. Okay, Jeremy Bauer says, hopefully Chad Gable gets a singles feud after SummerSlam. You and me both, dude. You and me both. I sure hope so. He's a really talented guy. He's somebody that I think could be, ironically enough, the next Kurt Angle. That's a funny thing. I think this dude could legit be the next Kurt Angle, but unfortunately, he's not the one that's being portrayed as Kurt Angle's son. It's Jason Jordan, whose match died a miserable death on Monday Night Raw. Good freaking Lord. Oh, man. Man, oh man, poor Jason Jordan. And look, they may be trying to turn him heel, but they didn't mention anything about the booze on Monday. They didn't say, oh, well, what if he feels a sense of entitlement? At least they hinted at it a week before on Miz TV. This week they didn't. So I'm assuming they're going to try to make him a babyface. But for the time being, why are you going to make him a babyface by having him wrestle a hometown guy? Maybe just fast-track the heel turn. Be a cocky, arrogant heel to everybody but his father, Kurt Angle, and then eventually turn on Kurt Angle. But as I mentioned before, if they're going to do Jordan versus Angle, I don't think that's a match that people are really clamoring for. And if they're going to do it, maybe not WrestleMania, maybe Survivor Series. They do need a big draw for Survivor Series. I don't think a potential Team Kevin Owens versus Team Shane McMahon match is a big enough draw. They need something. Maybe they could do a John Cena Nakamura rematch. We shall see. All right, we'll take a few more here before we sign off. Are you getting WWE 2K18? Of course I'm getting WWE 2K18. I have a gaming channel, youtube.com/TSC Gaming. I've been reviewing WWE games for the last 5-6 years now. WWE 2K17 I thought was a big improvement, as was 2K16. My big issue with 2K17 was, though, the frame rate. The frame rate was just awkward as hell, because at first, right, it played fine. Okay, some frame rate issues here and there. Nothing major compared to your typical AAA game. Unfortunately, in this day and age, whether it be PS4 or Xbox One, or even sometimes the Nintendo Switch, there's going to be frame rate issues with some major games. It's expected. I hate it, but that's just the way it is. You download a patch and it's supposed to fix it. Here's the problem. I downloaded multiple patches for WWE 2K17, and over the course of these months where I downloaded these updates, patches, whatever, the frame rate got progressively worse, to the point now where if you watch any of like my recent WWE 2K simulations that I'm going to be uploading, the frame rate's horrible. It's like I'm playing on PS3 or Xbox 360. Actually, I don't think the frame rate ever skipped on PS3 or Xbox 360, but yeah, it's been pretty damn brutal. So it's funny, out of the box, the game was fine, but after the updates, it got progressively worse. When I tried to download community creations, it got progressively worse. When I tried to play online, it got progressively worse. So I would like to see them build upon the good things they did with My Career mode and more wrestlers and adding the women and NXT superstars. That's all well and good. But I think what I would like to see 6 months down the road, 8 months down the road, patches that aren't going to break the game, patches that aren't going to freeze the game, and patches that are not going to make the frame skip. 2K knows that they have a captive audience. They know they got 2 to 3 million people that are going to buy this WWE game every freaking year, no matter what. But I would like to see a little more quality. I guess, you know what? The term is quality control. I would like to see a little more quality control. Woo! Before I go, too, I want to send a special shout out to my man Alan Colon, who is a radio broadcaster in the land, Cleveland. You got a lot of drama going on, though, with Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. In a way, I think it's kind of the poor man's Shaq and Kobe. I don't want to compare it to Big Cass and Enzo Amore, because that'd be insulting to LeBron and Kyrie. I guess, you know what it is? I guess it's kind of like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose a little bit, in the early stages of Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Not now, but back in 2014. Well, folks, I think that's all the time we got for tonight. I'm going to get on out of here. For those that missed this live stream, have no fear. Maybe you're just catching it right now. I will be uploading it on our official YouTube channel later tonight, youtube.com/thesportscourier. I will also upload it in the podcast section, soundcloud.com/TSC News. If you can't find our podcast, if you want to subscribe to it, go to SoundCloud. And if you don't feel like going to SoundCloud, all you got to do is search on Google Play or iTunes. My name, Fred Richani. That's my name, Fred Richani. Subscribe to the podcast. You won't regret it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, if you enjoyed this live stream, please like our page. Click the like button. Feel free to comment. Remember, if you submit the best comment or question via Facebook, via the DMs or the comments, via YouTube or via email, fred@thesportscourier.com, you will get a free rare collectible DVD from my vast collection next week. So look out for that. Until then, everybody, tweet us, Facebook us, do what you got to do. As always, enjoy the matches, unless you're Jinder Mahal losing in non-title bouts. Shaking my head. Good night, everybody.